Hi everyone, this is Henry Hyde. I'm a writer, a designer, and occasionally I've been a magazine editor. I was the editor of my own Battle Games magazine for 5 years, and then the editor of Miniature War Games with Battle Games, which is now Miniature War Games. I am also a war gamer and a board gamer, and over the last few weeks I've been thinking hard about what to do about, and this is where I turn around, about this profile. Okay, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I'm currently just under 19 stones. I have already lost nearly 2 stone. I was close to 21 stone a couple of years ago. The thing that's made me think hard about my health is that a few years ago now I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes is a condition that I don't recommend to anyone. It requires daily medication, quite a few tablets a day, and it gets all involved with blood pressure problems as well, and it's really not good, particularly when, like me, you're a chap how old am I? 56 years old now, 57 in 2018, and I lead a relatively sedentary lifestyle. You can see behind me, this is my workstation with my beautiful iMac, and because of the nature of what I do, a lot of writing and graphic design, I spend a huge amount of time in that chair. And effectively, as many people are saying, sitting is the new smoking. Spending many hours a day sitting, motionless, concentrating, focused on the work isn't good for you, and it's causing a lot of health problems for people. Weight gain, depression, RSI problems, that kind of thing. I also have a pre-existing condition that I've had for many years, brought on initially by old sports injuries, which is sciatica. If you don't know what sciatica is, the sciatic nerve goes kind of from inside your buttocks there all the way down the back of your leg. And what happens is that 2 of your discs in your lower back get a bit out of kilter, and they put pressure on the sciatic nerve, and it triggers this awful pain. It's like a red hot poker suddenly going down the back of your leg, and certainly in the early days when I had it really badly, I'd end up rolling around on the floor screaming for someone to cut my leg off to relieve the pain. And it's exacerbated by spending many hours sitting. Incidentally, you're going to have to excuse me, I'm still getting over a cold, so I'm a bit bunged up still. Anyway, I mentioned recently online that I've started a daily exercise routine. Many years ago, even though it wouldn't look it, I was extremely fit. I was what would be called army fit. I played a lot of rugby, a lot of athletics, weight training, circuit training. I was intending to be an officer in the Royal Horse Artillery, but that was a long time ago. I think I took my Royal Commissions board back in 1981. And then years later I ended up getting sedentary desk type jobs, and the exercise fell off, and this is the result. So kids, if you're at home watching and you're still slim, let this be a warning. Keep exercising, keep moving. Also controlling diet. There's a brilliant chap called Dr Michael Mosley who's been on the telly quite a lot, and certainly I would recommend his diet. He did the 5-2 diet, he was the originator of that, and also the blood sugar diet, the 8-week blood sugar diet, which is how I lost nearly 2 stone, and so I'm getting back on that as well. But the important thing is the reason I'm doing this video is to show you that I am not one of these superhero ripped guys, and I am a human being with many failings, and one of those failings is I don't get enough exercise. And I've also suffered from depression and stress and anxiety and that kind of thing. And exercise is tremendous for helping to solve, we can't necessarily solve completely, but certainly helping to solve many, if not most, of those problems. And recently I've been reading the work of a chap called Derek Doepker, D-O-E-P-K-E-R, who is really, really good on the subject of creating and keeping good habits and getting rid of bad habits. Because it's very easy for any of us to fall into bad habits. We don't even realise that it's happening. Oh yeah, okay, I'll have an extra potato at dinner. Oh yes, okay, someone offers you an extra helping at dinner, and particularly we British, we don't like to be rude and refuse that, and so you end up like this. You know, there's no two ways about it. Spoonful by spoonful, over many, many years, you end up like this. And the same goes for exercise. We may start out with the greatest intentions. Many people join a gym, and then something crops up, which, oh, I can't go to the gym today, and then it's 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, and before you know it, you've probably spent several £100s on a gym membership that you've not kept up, which is a double whammy. So not only are you not getting the benefits of getting your exercise, you've also spent a great deal of money and basically wasted it down the drain. So Derek Doepker, and there's another chap called James Clear as well, who I'd recommend. His point of view is that you just start and take up a micro habit, okay? And a micro habit might be a tiny thing. And in the case of exercise, a micro habit might simply be that, do you know what? I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to do one push-up, one press-up. Okay, that's the micro habit. And as long as you complete that one push-up every morning, you've succeeded. One of the problems that we have is that we make New Year's resolutions. We say, oh yes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That really, in our heart of hearts, we know we're going to really struggle to keep up. With the best will in the world, we might say, oh, I'm going to complete that 200,000 word novel this year. But that already is this huge barrier. Far better to break it down and say, I'm going to write one paragraph a day. That's my minimum micro habit, just one paragraph a day. And then, sure enough, over the course of 2 or 3 days, that's a page. And then over the course of a week, it's a couple of pages. And then over the course of a month, it's 50 or 60 pages. And then over the course of a year, you've written your book. Okay? So what you need to think in terms of is you choose a micro habit, a tiny thing that basically you know you can't possibly fail. You have to be dead to fail it, okay? And so long as you do that much, that is a success. You can give yourself a gold star, big tick, and tell yourself, yes, I did it, okay? Now, if you choose, you know, you've written your paragraph or you've done your one push-up and you think, do you know what? I think I could do another one. Then that's fantastic. That's a bonus. If you find that you can do 10 instead of 1, that's amazing, okay? But your micro habit is still 1 push-up. Your micro habit is still 1 paragraph, not a page or 10 pages, okay? And so long as you complete your micro habit, you can feel good about yourself, okay? And so then over time, once you've realised that I'm actually feeling like my micro habit is an insult to myself, then make your micro habit 5 push-ups or 1 page. Okay, never ever push it so far that there's the potential that you might not be able to do that. The whole point is that this becomes a daily thing that come hell or high water, even if you're in a rush, right? When I get up in the morning, I can do 1 push-up, right? In fact, I can do 10. So you need to set the micro habit at a level where there's absolutely no excuse, okay? Now, moving on from that, some people have asked to see what my exercise regime is, and obviously I'm going to be performing this slower because I'm going to be explaining than I normally would. But the point is that this is something that I now do. I get up and do it every day before I do anything else, and I've timed it recently, and it took me something like 13 or 14 minutes, right? Now, I have to be honest with myself that, gosh, if I can't find 10, 15 minutes in the course of an entire 24-hour day to do some exercise, from my own point of view, I don't feel like I'm taking it seriously. Now, this is also from the point of view of someone who used to be extremely fit, okay? One of the other things that Dr. Michael Mosley did, the guy who wrote the blood sugar diet and so on, is he recommends what's called HIIT, high intensity interval training. So actually his regime is only something like 5 minutes a day, okay? And his regime involves often an indoor, cycling machine, something of that kind. I happen to have one over there that is gathering dust. But his is you do 30 seconds flat out, you rest for a minute, 30 seconds flat out, rest for a minute, 30 seconds flat out, and that's basically your training for the day. And it really does get your heart pumping. Now, however, I know from other people who've tried this is that the sheer intensity of that is something that if they're not used to doing any exercise at all, they find intimidating. Or they find that, I can't push myself that hard, I can't go as fast as I'd like to. So this is why, even from my own point of view, I thought I'd show you guys some stuff that's mostly really gentle. And it involves a number of things. First of all, I'll show you the first part of my routine is what the Chinese call Qigong. It's a particular, it's kind of a stretching exercises with the breathing mixed in, okay? The breathing's really important. I then actually go through what's called the short form, the Yang short form, which is the kind of thing that you see Chinese people performing in the parks every morning. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do this, okay, because obviously it's taken me years to get to being able to just simply remember the sequence in order. There are lots of Tai Chi videos out there, lots of online Tai Chi courses. There are many different forms of Tai Chi as well. Some are look much more kind of martial artsy, others look much more kind of meditative. Mine's a kind of in-betweeny thing. I was lucky enough to have a one-to-one Tai Chi tutor for several years. It's going back a while now. I actually reached the level where I could have been a Tai Chi instructor, just for kind of basic and intermediate level people. I never got to the heights of being a master or anything of that kind. But life took a different course and that didn't happen. But it was something I always enjoyed. So I'm going to show you what I do, but I'm not expecting you to follow along or try that bit. If you're interested in learning Tai Chi, as I said, there's lots of other information out there and I hugely recommend it. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. The reason I do Qigong first is, first of all, creaky old bones. It's really good at gently kind of getting your body moving and getting rid of a few kind of clunks and crunks that have accumulated overnight or in the previous day. And the breathing is really good too. And there's an element of Qigong which is effectively meditation as well, because what you do is you just forget everything else, you concentrate on the movement, and in particular you concentrate on the breathing, the in and out of the breathing. And you'll see, and I'll try and explain as I go along, how it works. Now, in total, there are, I think, 17 movements in the group of movements that I do as Qigong. Now, it's up to you. You can choose just a couple of them. If you're just a beginner, if you're a war gamer who spends long nights playing games, then a very sedentary job during the day, and your nervous about getting involved in any kind of physical activity, then just choose a couple of the movements or try them all, but instead, because I tend to do usually sort of between 4 and half a dozen of each movement as a kind of sequence, as you'll see. You could just do one of each, okay? Or you could do 3 or 4 repetitions of a couple of the exercises. The point is you need to decide what is going to be your absolute minimum basic daily habit, okay? So mine is the full thing at this point, but you know, you could do a compressed version of that. The same goes for the range of movement. I mean, some of the things that I do, you know, I suppose over the years I've got reasonably flexible. You might not be as flexible. You might have some kind of injury or disability that prevents you from doing the full range of the movement. That's fine. Just take it as far as you feel comfortable doing. And again, that can be a thing that over the course of, you know, if you've been doing the same thing the same way for, you know, a couple of weeks and you've got a bit more confident, you can say, okay, well, I'll push that movement a bit further so that you feel more of the benefit of the bending and stretching and so on. All right? So that's the first part, which is based on the Chinese practice of Qigong and Tai Chi. What I then do is a combination of power exercises and exercises specifically aimed at being good for someone with lower back problems. Okay, so if you've got any kind of lower back problem, you know, pay reasonable attention to the exercises I then do. The power exercises, I do some push-ups. Now, when it comes to something like push-ups, lots of people go, oh no, not push-ups. When I come to that, I'll explain there's different ways you can do a push-up. So there's an absolute beginner's way, an intermediate way, and then, you know, the proper way. Because a full proper push-up includes effectively the exercise that's known as the plank, which is keeping your body rigid. So the only thing that's actually moving should be your arms as you go up and down, but your body's kept rigid. And the very act of keeping your body rigid actually strengthens what's known as your core and your back and your leg muscles in the process. So the push-up, lots of people think, oh, that's to improve your chest and arm muscles. Actually, a proper push-up improves your overall body strength. Then I do a couple of other things. I show, importantly, a modified sit-up, because a lot of people do, and I used to be able to do close on 200 sit-ups, okay? Or crunches as they're also called, 200 sit-ups, but I now know, in my later life, that I was doing them wrong. I was doing them the way that everyone was taught to do them back in the 1970s, which is actually really bad for your lower back. Okay, so I do a modified crunch, which I'll demonstrate and shows you how you can avoid putting undue stress on your lower back. And then there's a couple of exercises and that's done. So as I say, this is obviously going to take me longer because I'm going to be explaining it than it normally does in the morning. Normally I'm up, you know, I use the bathroom, I come up here or go in the lounge, wherever there's a space, and do this exercise in rather less than 15 minutes. The other thing is that particularly viewers in America might be surprised to see I'm trying to do this exercise in what is obviously a cluttered home office space. Most British homes are really quite small. You know, if you're lucky, you might have a garage where you could do your exercises, or you might have a larger lounge. But I live in an apartment, what's known as a maisonette, a 2-floor apartment, and we have lots of stuff, lots of books and other things, as you can see. So I'm deliberately showing that these exercises could be done even in a really small space, even if you're living in a bed sit, you know, where the only space you've got possibly is between the end of your bed and your dressing table. Just as long as you think about how you position yourself initially, then you will be able to do these exercises. In fact, when I'm up here, I normally do these exercises kind of end to end like this, and the Tai Chi inevitably I will. But for today's purposes, I'm showing that they can all be done in a confined space. When I say confined, hey, look, I can touch that wall with my arm, okay? So I haven't even got a full arm's breadth here, but it doesn't matter. You can just modify the exercise, or, you know, as I say, just think, and you should be able to think about each exercise, the space it needs, and just turn slightly if necessary to create a diagonal space. Okay, so I'm British. The first thing I need to do, having spoken for a lot, is to have a swig of tea. Okay, I'll get back to my mark on the floor. Sorry about the cough. Okay, so exercise number 1, and I've positioned myself this far from the camera so you can see my feet. Okay. When you're doing Qigong, there are usually 2 basic positions for the feet. In both cases, your knees should be slightly bent. So if I go sideways, can you see it's almost like I'm just sitting on a bar stool kind of thing. Imagine, oh yeah, it's a tall bar stool. I can't sit on it properly, but it's just a slight bounce in the knees. Okay. So if I turn forwards, the other thing is that the feet should start in this instance at shoulder width, just like that, and be pointing forward, not splayed outwards. Okay. The important thing is that your feet are pointing forwards. Okay. There's another position which is based on a horse riding position, where you place your feet wider and bend your legs. So you imagine this would be a very small horse, okay, but you imagine you're kind of riding horse, and you'll find that works at your thighs as well. So if you wanted a starting exercise and to do nothing else with, you could just see how long you can keep that position, okay? And it is a valid exercise used by many athletes to lean with your back straight against a wall and just remain in that position. The other thing is that your eyes, your focus should be kind of on the horizon, all right? Try not to look down, don't look up, okay? Your focus, your neck should be relaxed, your head centered. So sort of imagine that you're hanging on a string from the center of your head there, and you're just kind of looking straight ahead. Today, actually, it's quite useful because I'm focusing on my little iPhone on the Gorilla tripod over there. So those are the 2 positions. So there's the wide riding position, and there's the shoulder width position. Again, you could do this in any clothes. You don't need to be wearing special clothes. Okay, you could do this at the office in your business suit. This isn't going to be a major sweat out. The main thing is be comfortable. So today I'm looking really sloppy. My kind of get out of bed rig up. You can put on gym gear if you like, if that makes you feel like, oh, I'm doing something proper. But it really doesn't matter. So long as you're comfortable, that is the only thing that matters. Okay. So with our feet shoulder width apart like this, and our knees slightly bent, the first exercise, and you pick up, there's a little story that goes with this, because I don't know all the proper Chinese names, or I've forgotten most of them. So my Tai Chi tutor gave me a little story that goes along with these exercises to help you to remember them and to remember the sequence that they come in. So the first one is what I call the getting out of bed, and it's sort of lifting up the sheets. So your arms should be sort of very loose and relaxed, and the main thing is no tension in the hands, okay? None. So your hands just, you know, if I turn sideways, it's kind of, what's the name of the comedian? That kind of feeling that what's being raised is your wrists, not your hands. Okay, so we're going to start with getting out of bed and lifting up the sheets, which is, and you breathe in on the up and down on the out. So in, out, and as you breathe in, you straighten your legs slightly. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, you bend your legs. Okay, so nice and slow. In, out, in, out. Okay, simple as that. I'll turn sideways to show you. Okay, so in, out, in, out. Okay, and the reason we're doing them slowly is that this is intended to maintain your sense of calm. Okay, it's a nice, oh yes, it's a lovely morning. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay, now the second exercise follows on from that. So we're going to have a nice big stretch. So again, starting with your legs bent and breathing in. Okay, and in. Okay, and in. And every time as you breathe in, you straighten your legs, and as you breathe out, you bend them again. Okay. Now that's a movement where ideally, as you're here, you're feeling the stretch. Okay. But if you're not comfortable going that far, don't go that far to begin with. But the full benefit comes from a real, like you're spreading your wings. Okay. Good. Now the next exercise is more interesting one, and I call it, oh look, there's a rainbow outside. Okay, this is where the real macho men amongst you might have some problems, because it might look a little bit girly, but trust me, it's really important. So now, legs still bent in that position, we kind of create this inverted rainbow. Okay, and lean back on one side slightly and point the opposite toe and bend. Okay, so again, in on the up, one and out. And what you'll feel is two things. You're stretching here, the hamstring, and also you're feeling a stretch up this side of your body. Okay, so out and in and out and in. Okay, and then put your legs back to the neutral position and switch to the other side. Out and in and out and in and out and in. Okay, and back to the neutral position. Right, now I tend to alternate, so I tend to say, okay, I'm in this position, and one, and back, and one, and back. Okay, but it makes no difference. It's up to you. If you prefer to do 1, 2, 3 on one side and then switch to do 1, 2, 3 on the other side, that's fine. Okay, so that's exercise number 3. The next one is, we've seen a rainbow, so we decide, because we've got superpowers, we're going to part the clouds. So what you do is you're in your knees bent position and you bring your hands together, and as you stretch up, you're breathing in and you do a circle and breathe out and in and in and what you can hear there is I'm hitting the walls, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, all right? So, the next thing is, the story goes, because I live in Brighton, on the south coast of Britain, we're going to go down to the beach, okay? And it'll be important for you to note that the later part of the story, there's 2 piers in Brighton. There's the Palace Pier and the West Pier. It'll become apparent why that's important in my story. Invent your own story. But what's happened is there's been a zoo in town for some reason, and a lot of the monkeys have escaped. So now we've got to go down to the beach, but we've got to get rid of all the monkeys that are in our way of getting down to the beach. Now here we're going to go into our riding position. Okay, so there we are. Now what we're doing is, and I'll do it sideways so you can see, we are reaching up and back simultaneously, a bit like if you're going to throw a javelin or a ball. Okay, and we're going to push forward and twist the body at the same time. Okay, so push forward and twist the body. So this arm comes over the shoulder. This arm tucks back into the waist. Okay, so we also keep our head fixed in front. Okay, so we're not twisting our head, right? We're keeping the head in front. Okay, and then we switch and do the other side. Okay, so it becomes this smooth movement, and what we're doing is we're pushing our way through all those pesky monkeys who are infesting the route down to the beach. Goodness knows, Brighton's gone to the dogs, or gone to the monkeys. I'm going to turn sideways to show you that exercise. Okay, so I'm in the horse riding position. Okay, legs bent, and I reach up and push forward over the shoulder with one hand, and the other hand comes back into the waist. And then I switch and push forward over the shoulder and push forward over the shoulder like that. So it's almost a sort of front crawl, isn't it? That kind of almost a swimming motion. Okay? But actually, if you speed this up, that's a really deadly movement because it's actually a chop. Okay? But in this instance, we're concentrating on the nice smooth meditation. Okay, so we've managed to make it down to the beach. We've got through the monkeys. What a strange story. What's this man on, you're thinking? So we come back to the shoulder width apart position, and now we're going to do this sort of two-handed rowing motion. A lot of Chinese fisher folk actually they use things that are a bit like a gondola, but they tend to have two oars. Okay, so this is based on that kind of movement. We're basically rowing out from the beach, okay, to try and go fishing because we need some breakfast at this point. I'm hungry. I want to try and catch some fish. So, shoulder width apart, I reach up and over and down and round and up. Now, this is one of those exercises where only you can know how comfortable you feel leaning forward like that. If you can't lean forward very far, don't worry. If you can't lean forward at all, just circle your arms, okay? That's a starting point. But ideally, the full range of movement is we're reaching down with the oars and bending our legs as we do so, and up and over. And again, I'll do that sideways. So, here we go, round, reaching up and down. You don't have to touch the floor. If your arms are long enough and you're sprightly enough, go ahead. But that's not important. It's down, okay, and up. All right. So, that's that exercise. So we've rowed out. Now the next one, feet shoulder width apart. You need to pay attention to my feet. Can I pull these up anymore? I don't think so. These tracksuit trousers are falling down as it is. But we have two piers, as I mentioned. And what we're going to do is, there's another fisherman comes by and says, oh, and he says, oh, my sight's not very good. How many piers are there in Brighton? And you say there are two. There's the Palace Pier. And as I turn, look how I'm lifting that opposite heel, okay? And then dropping it down. And the breathing is still out and in. Oh, sorry, out. Other way around. In and out. You tend to breathe in when you go up. And in. And watch that heel, allowing us to twist further. And out. Okay. So it's just a gentle movement like this. And you'll feel the stretch, should feel the stretch on the kind of outside of the arm. Okay. There's no leaning required. And by lifting that back heel, that permits us to twist a bit further. Okay? Good. So again, do 3 or 4 each side of those. The next exercise, so we're back to this position. So we've just come down here. Now keep your heels on the ground and take both arms and twist your trunk. Because the other fisherman said, oh look, the moon's behind you. It's not gone to bed yet. So you say, oh really? Oh yes, there's the moon. And just take it round as far as you're able with your feet still flat on the floor. If you're taking it too far, that foot wants to come up. So just, if you're able to get round to the rear position, that's fantastic. And in this instance, you take your head with you, okay, all the way around, trunk twist. And you'll really feel this stretching in your trunk. You'll really feel things start to move there, okay? So, we've been fishing for a while. We've had no luck. So, we're going to go back to the beach and try something different. Oh look, they've got some horses on the beach for us. And we've got bows and arrows. We're going to go hunting. We're on the beach and we're getting on the horse. Okay, so that position. And now we're going to use the bow and arrow to try and hunt something to eat. Okay, perhaps not monkeys, that would be considered bad. Let's say there's some, for some bizarre reason, there's some roe deer have appeared on the beach. So what we're doing in this position, we're going to load our bow, so this becomes a fist, and this effectively holds the string, and we're going to reach out while breathing in and stretch, okay, looking at the target, okay, and then we're going to release and come back to the center, reload the bow, okay, and again, sort of gripping the bow, stretch, release, okay. So this is one of the more complicated motions, but if you just simply imagine, I mean again, you could do them several on one side and several on the other, but it's nice to alternate. So you grip the bow so it becomes a fist, stretch, stretching across the chest, release, come back to the center, reload, and here we go, stretch again, and back to the center, and the nice breath in the middle. There we go. Right, so that's the archery. But let's say we've had no luck at all catching anything. So we're going to come back to our shoulder width apart position. And we're going to give up trying to hunt for anything or fish for anything. And we're going to go to the Waving Hands Fish and Chip Shop. Yes, I know that sounds like rubbish, but that's what my instructor used to call it, the Waving Hands Fish and Chip Shop. Because what we're doing is as follows, and I'll show this from a couple of angles. It's this movement. You reach out to one side and you have one hand in front, palm towards you, okay, and the other hand wipes down across it, okay. So wipe, and then you get to the bottom and turn, and then you switch. So that hand, okay, comes up, and you swipe down and go across. I'll do it at the normal speed, so you get this effect, okay, like so. And you take it all the way round to the side, following the gaze. And your eyes keep looking at the inside of your palm, okay? I will turn sideways to demonstrate this, okay? So you wipe and turn, and wipe and turn, and wipe and turn, okay? You should, with practice, end up with a lovely smooth movement. It's a bit, I know, like patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time, but it's also, therefore, a really good thing to test your mind. That's the other thing with Tai Chi and Qigong. It's good for your head, for your mind. Actually, if any of you have done martial arts, you will recognise that what this is a defence. So you're protecting your face, and also you're warding off a kick at the same time. okay? So that's what's actually happening, but it's a nice, the waving hands fish and chip shop. So, okay, we've had our breakfast, we have lovely fish and chips, we've got really greasy fingers. The next thing is, we need to wash our hands. And there's the sea, so we might as well wash our hands in the sea. Now, if you remember that earlier position we did, okay? So it's very similar. So you turn half sideways, so like 45 degrees, and so your weight is on your back leg. This is the important thing. If you find yourself toppling over, whoa, 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 put your weight on your back leg. So actually, you can quite easily lift that toe up, right? Whereas if your weight's equal, it's like, oh, right? So your weight, can you see it's going woo, straight down. But what we're doing here, we cup our arms above our heads, and we're going to come down, and it's stretching the back of your leg. And you scoop the water, and up you come, and let it fall, and scoop the water, and up you come, and let it fall, scoop the water, and up you come. And once you've done one side, you simply turn, bring that foot back, turn that foot outwards, and go the other side. 1, 2, and I like to do 3 of these. 3. So you've got a really good stretch going in the back of that leg. Okay? Again, if you feel you can't go that far down, don't worry. Just go as far as you can. Now, we're going to stay in this position on this side, having done the third one. Right, and obviously the breathing is in. Okay, now we're going to pretend to be King Canute and push back the tide. So now we're rocking forward onto that front knee and pushing out. And coming back and pushing out. And coming back and pushing out. And coming back and pushing out. And then, staying in that position, we bring the foot round, twist the other foot, and push the other way. Push. And push. And can you see the weight I'm transferring from back to front? Push. And push. Okay, I did an extra one there, didn't I? Now we're going to come back to our middle position. And now we see a goose taking off. We sometimes get geese who land on the water on their journey south, and now the one's landed and it's taking off again. So nice big knee bends as we imagine that we are the goose. Okay. 3, 4 of those. Nice good knee bend. Okay. And I just realised I made a mistake because I'm talking to you rather than concentrating. Having done the push back the tide one, actually immediately after doing the push back the tide, we switch because we've seen a pigeon, and a pigeon's taking off. Okay, and we do these big arm scoops, still rocking backwards and forwards on that leg. And again we turn and do the, so just big, like a big bear hug almost. And you'll feel it, you'll feel the weight of your own arms. And that's what we're aiming at. And remember, with all these, if you can only manage one, that's fine. And then I do my goose, normally, all right? So we've done the goose thing. Now, we've decided, oh, this is boring, had my breakfast. Let's go down the Palace Pier, Brighton Pier as it's also known. So, there's a horseback punching game. I know it's daft, but bear with me. So we're going to get on our horse, okay, and we're going to tuck our clenched fists into our not inconsiderable waist here, okay. So if I go sideways, can you see the position? It's like that, with knuckles up, okay. And what we're going to do is we've got to punch this punch bag in the middle, and one fist at a time. That fist goes forward, okay, and sort of turns upright as you punch. So forward and upright. And then it comes back into the waist as you punch with the other one. Okay? And as you do the punch, punch through the target so you feel this. extra little stretch right at the end, okay? And the opposite hand just counterbalances by coming back into your waist, okay? And do 3 or 4 of those each side, okay? And I'll do that sideways. So here I am, punching, and it comes back into the waist. Punching, and always focusing on the target, okay? This is one of the more obvious kind of self-defense moves in the routine, okay? So just do 3 or 4 aside and you come back to a neutral position. We're fed up with aggressive punching games. Oh look, there's a big wheel. We're going to go on the big wheel. And the way this works is, back to the neutral position, hands above your head, okay? You don't have to, if you've got the room, by all means stretch. I run out of room about there, okay? And my tummy starts showing. But circling around to one side, coming down low and up, and circling. So you're twisting your body as you circle. So your eyes are kind of following around. Okay, so allowing your body to twist completely. And then you get to the top and go the other way. Okay, and again, just do 3 or 4 each side. And take them slowly, because otherwise you will get very dizzy and fall over. We don't want that. Okay? Come back to the neutral position and we think, gosh, we've done well there. And we go on a shooting game and we win a football and we bounce the football all the way home. And the way this works is, effectively, you're just kind of running on the spot in slow motion. Up, down, up. So your arm goes up with the opposite knee. I'll do that sideways with my trousers falling down. Okay, so, and the hand just comes up gently to kind of head height, and the knee comes up as far as you can bring it, but maintaining your balance. Okay, so that's a really good exercise for balance. And the final movement is actually a calm down movement, which is, you imagine you get home and you're taking a shower. Okay, so you're in the shower and you're kind of washing your hair at the same time. So, and now I usually do this with my eyes closed as the kind of final wind down, one of the most meditative parts, but don't close your eyes at the moment because you need to watch what I'm doing. Okay, so here we go, gently up, breathing in, straightening our legs, and we sort of cup our hands above our head and bring them down, fingers together, down the face, down the front of the body, and you turn your palms downwards and push out, and then up, breathing in slowly, and you breathe out slowly all the way down. Okay, and a third time, and I'm just gently bending my knees. It's hard to see in these trousers, I know, but there we go. Okay, and then after the last one, it's nice to just sort of cup your hands together, close your eyes for a few minutes, a few moments I mean, and then just one last final in and out breath like this. There we are. That's the Qigong. Okay, so I hope you try at least a few of those. And obviously this has taken me a long time because I've been doing them really slowly. Okay, but normally I'll rattle through that in 5 or 6 minutes, something like that, I suppose. It's really, you know, just get into a routine of doing as many as you like. 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, there's not much point overdoing it. I wouldn't start doing 8, 10, 12 of those, because the whole point is they're kind of just gentle stretching, warming up type exercises. And already just having done this with you, I'm sweating, okay? It's quite surprising. So if all you did in the morning was a couple of those Qigong exercises, you will see benefits, right? Okay, I have to add a disclaimer. I am not a doctor, I am not a medical practitioner, I am not a qualified sports coach, I'm just a guy who wants to feel well, okay? But those I learned many years ago and I've never regretted it, okay? Now, very quickly, it takes about 3 minutes, and I'm not going to talk through it, I'm going to demonstrate to you my Tai Chi routine, okay, which is known as the short form. So you can take a break, have a cup of tea, but you'll see many of the movements that we were doing there incorporated into what I'm about to do now. And I hope I'm doing it at a distance where you can see pretty much most of what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, that's called the short form. There is a longer one. I used to remember the longer one, but it is much longer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there would have been a short edit there because the iPhone suddenly went into low power mode. And I'm hoping, when I do my brief edit, that it's got my complete Yang style Tai Chi short form there. Anyway, that is just to show you what I then go on to do. I'm not going to explain it fully at the moment because I'm not a fully qualified Tai Chi teacher, and it's fairly complicated, and it took me probably a year to get to that sort of stage. But it's just to show you that even a fat bloke like me can do something like Tai Chi, and it's good for all ages, all body types. Doesn't matter if you're fat, thin, young or old. I thoroughly recommend Tai Chi, and the same goes for the Qigong, of course. So that's the first part of what I do. Probably takes me a total of what, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, something like that. The next thing I do is press-ups. Having gone from the gentle kind of warm-uppy stuff, it's time to do a little bit of power. Now, people get scared of press-ups. Now, I'm hoping that you can see what I'm about to do. If I move far enough here, when I lie down, and gently does it, because I'm old, yeah, you can see that. Okay, so I'll do my press-ups. I tend to do 20 or 25 because I've reached that stage now. But again, it doesn't matter. If you manage to do one, that's fine. And at some point, you can add to your one, but your one is your minimum habit, and that's fine. Okay, so, see, body rigid, arms at shoulder width, and breathe out, breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 20. Okay, I'll do 20 today. That's fine. Because I'm not going to have enough breath to talk to you otherwise. I tend to do it in a position where, because I don't want to slide everywhere while I'm doing it, so I have my feet up against something simply to stop me moving around. Okay? And I hope you could see, I did them pretty quick because that's the way I do the press-ups. Some people, whew, if you're super fit, you can do them really, 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 really slowly. That's cool. Alternative forms of press-up for people who can't do press-ups. Kneel on the floor, okay? And do the press-ups kneeling. The main thing is keep your back straight. So your head, your eyes, kind of look up at something, all right? Okay, and if that's all you can manage, that's fine, okay? Alternative. Do your press-ups leaning against something. I've got a thing here, so go into sort of a 30 to 45 degree position. Obviously the steeper the angle, the more weight you're putting on your arms. And do the press-ups like that. Again, keep the back straight. Okay, so you might go through the whole graduation process where you start doing your press-ups kneeling down, graduate to doing them at an angle, and then finally do them on the floor. And as you saw, the full floor ones, and indeed these, incorporate what's called the plank position, where you work hard to keep your body straight and rigid, not flopping about, for two reasons. First of all, to protect your back. If you let your back do this all the time, that's not good. That's bad for your back. Secondly, by keeping your body rigid, you're working a whole load of muscles. And you can feel it, right? You can hear I'm panting slightly. So that is the sit-ups. The next thing I do are what are called lunges. Now, lunges are really good for your hips. If you spend a lot of time sitting, your hips tend to jam up. So lunges are excellent. And it's quite simply this. Feet relaxed, facing forward, keeping your body, your trunk, upright, and just lean forward. And what you find is you're bending that front leg and you're stretching this rear leg. Okay? And back. And then switch, forward, and back. Hold the position for a couple of seconds. Okay? Body upright, looking forward, chin up. Okay? And you'll feel the stretch in here. That's good. I'll go sideways. Like so. Okay? So you get to the point where you're, ideally, if you can bend that to a complete right angle, that's fantastic. But you're stretching your hips, loosening them up, and getting a good stretch on your upper thigh there. And switch, like so. Okay? Feeling it there. And I tend to do 8, 10, maybe a dozen of those. Okay? Because I've got real problems around here, so I'm doing extra. The next thing is a modified sit-up. And I'm going to go down on the floor, hopefully where you can see me, and explain. Okay. Always, instantly, when you get down on the floor, don't just drop down on the floor, take your time. It's not a race. And if you've got any injuries, it's better that you don't. Okay. I think you can see me. So what people mostly think of as a sit-up or crunch is this kind of thing. Okay. Where you're trying to, I used to be able to bend double, and in fact if I hook my feet under something, I might still, but with legs straight, no I won't. But I do a modified one, which is much safer for your lower back. And it works like this. One leg bent, okay? Arms by your side. Try and take your nose to the ceiling and hold it for a couple of seconds. So 1, 2 and down. That's it. That's the movement. So you'll feel your abs working hard. 1, 2 down. Then I switch my leg and do another. 1, 2 down. And the other important thing is, as I'm doing this, the leg that's on the ground, I'm stretching. Okay, I'm pushing the heel away from me. So it's really good again on the hamstrings, and it's good for your back. Okay, so I switch. 1, 2 and down again. And switch. 1, 2 and down again. Okay. Now again, do as many as you're comfortable with. If you're only comfortable with 1 or 2, that's fine. All right. Getting up carefully. The next exercise I'm going to do, and it's the second to last. Second to last exercise, is again really good for back problems. And I can't remember if it's got a name. I saw it somewhere. And because it needs a bit of extra length, I'm going to do this diagonally. You get back into a kneeling position with your hands on the floor. I'll move back so you can see me better. There we go. Crawling around my floor. So, hands underneath your shoulders. And what you're going to do here, I'll move forward a little bit, okay, is it's almost like you're doing the front crawl. So, one arm stretches out and the opposite leg, okay, and you keep your chin down. So you're stretching forward with that arm and stretching backwards with that heel, okay? And then you go back to the neutral and you switch, okay? And this is really good for stretching your lower back and hips, okay? And the point is, you hold it, so you're putting in effort holding up your arm and leg, and you hold that position for a couple of seconds. Don't do it too fast, okay? Take it slowly and back, okay? But you really need to feel your stretching there, okay? Good. Stand up. The last exercise we're going to do is a squat, and to begin with, you don't need to use weights. Okay, it's beneficial if you do use weights. It could be 2 heavy shopping bags. If you have free weights like barbells or dumbbells, that's great. The main thing is to make absolutely sure that your posture's correct, because you don't want to hurt your back. But this is a fabulous exercise for all over conditioning, okay? And a squat is simply, if you've got no weights, just cup your hands in front of you like this and down, keeping your back straight and your eyes looking up, okay? That's a good discipline, okay? Down, as far as you can comfortably take it, and up. If I show you sideways, okay, legs a bit wider than shoulder width, down and up, and down and up. If you're at all nervous, okay, not a chair with casters. This is a bad idea, but to give you the idea, if you had a solid chair, no casters, so it doesn't suddenly shoot out from underneath you, and you can do the squat until you touch the seat and up, until you touch the seat and up, until you touch the seat and up, okay? And then if you feel your legs going, you can just sit down, all right? But that was a bad example. Do not do it with a chair with casters because it might shoot out from underneath you. So folks, that's taken, what, probably an hour. to tell you something that actually takes me less than a quarter of an hour. And I hope you found it useful. You can see that I'm panting. So I've had a good workout just explaining to you how I do mine. But I hope you find something of value in there. And the main thing to remember is that any form of regular exercise that exercises your whole body is very, very good for you. Not just physically, which it obviously is, and you saw the specific exercises that help loosen up the hips if you do a lot of sitting, but more than that, psychologically. You know, I feel great now. My throat is parched because I've been speaking so much, but I feel psychologically great. I've accomplished something. It makes me feel better in the morning rather than me just stomping around. And my dear Anne at least gets a little respite for a short while after I've done my exercises. I'm going to go and have a shower now, really refreshing, and then I feel like I'm starting the day in the right frame of mind to get other things done. Plus, keep an exercise diary. You know, it could be on your computer as an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, or it could just be in an exercise. But you know, you could just take a page-a-day diary and make a list of the exercises you accomplished and just tick them on a daily basis. Okay, or print yourself out some sheets, some exercise sheets. Give yourself a gold star. Certainly, once you've finished a routine like that, it's like, yeah, I did that. Okay, and you will see gradual improvement. Don't expect overnight, oh my God, I'm going to qualify for the Olympics, right? It's not like that, and that's not its intention. Its intention is to make you feel like you've taken an area of your life that you weren't happy with at all, and you're turning it into something that you at least feel reasonable satisfaction with. You know, you're not rubbish at everything. You can do this, and you will see improvement. It might start that, oh God, I only managed one or two of those and I'm already exhausted. Well, that's fine. You know, that's day one. Even a week later, you find, oh, I'm doing 3 or 4 of them. And a week after that, actually, crikey, this is starting to feel easy. The main thing is, if you're doing my Qigong exercises, it's not a race. Take your time. Actually, the slower you do those movements, the better they are for you, because actually it requires more body control to do an exercise slowly than it does to do it fast. Right? That's just kind of like, oh God, you're bouncing. Okay. Another way I sometimes, as a treat, if I'm doing it in the evening in particular, like to finish up my exercise routine is I put on my favourite dance track and I dance for 3 minutes. Yeah, I'm not going to show you that on video, right? But there's some fantastic dance tracks out there, and a great way to finish an exercise and to help lift your mood, get those endorphins going around the system, is to put on your favourite dance track on Spotify or iTunes or something and just have a bit of a bop, you know. It's a great way of kind of keeping your body limber, warming down, and puts a smile on your face. Anyway, I hope that that's been helpful. If you've got any questions, you know, by all means, answer them in the space under the video, ask them in the space under the video, and I'll do what I can. But I reiterate, I am not a qualified sports coach. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm just a guy who wants to have a better quality of life and ideally lose loads of this weight so that I can come off my diabetes medication. Okay, and in the show notes underneath, I'll put the names of Derek Dupker, James Clear, and Professor Michael Mosley, or Dr. Michael Mosley, who's written the 5-2 diet and all that kind of stuff, as a starting point for you. Have fun, that's the main thing, and enjoy your exercising. And also, by all means, come back at some point, let us know how you're getting on. Bye.